How's it going, fellas, and welcome to the channel where I kick back, relax and talk video games. And WWE 2K is back, fellas. Finally! And it's better than ever, or is it just a honeymoon period because we haven't had a good wrestling game in such a long time? It's really been such a long time since we've actually had a fun wrestling game to play. Ever since Smackdown vs. Raw, we haven't had anything. So over the next few minutes, I'm going to be talking about all my thoughts and opinions about the game, the good, the bad, and everything in between. So if you like that sort of stuff, don't forget to leave a like, hit the subscribe button, and comment down below all your thoughts and opinions about WWE 2K22. Do you like it? Do you hate it? Leave it all in the comments below. But anyway, guys, I've talked and raved long enough. Let's get into it.
And if you're not down with that, we got 2 words for ya!
So the first thing I want to talk about is presentation and graphics. I have to say this, fellas, about the game. The graphics are amazing, fellas. But to be honest, the graphics have never been a problem when it comes to WWE games. They've always looked great. And this game is no different. The entrance looks sick for the most part. There are certain times it doesn't look that great when hair or a title belt clips through a player or a wrestler's body. It sucks, fellas. It really does, because in 2022, this kind of shit shouldn't be happening. And it definitely shouldn't keep happening time and time again like what they have been doing in WWE games. This isn't a new problem. It's been happening for ages.
Yeah, damn right!
So the next thing I want to talk about is the environments and the crowds. The environments and the crowds are the best, fellas, we've seen in a very, very long time in a WWE game. There is tons of detail in the backstage areas. You can climb up shit. You can do all sorts of shit. Fly 100 foot from the air onto the ground. It's unbelievable the shit that you can do now, which is great. And the crowd themselves really make you feel like you're in a WWE match when you hear the chant, "This is awesome."
This is awesome! This is awesome!
It really makes you feel that you've done something cool after a big move. It really does make you feel like you're in a WWE match, which is great. It would be awesome if they could add more crowd chants throughout the year. It's only something small, but it would go a hell of a long way. So the next thing I want to talk about is game modes. Let's start off by saying there are a ton of modes, but all the modes are lacking one thing, and one thing only, fellas.
What? What is it?
And that's attention to detail. Key things in certain modes are just missing. They've just been left out. I'm hoping they get patched throughout the year, but I'm guessing that they're going to do the 2K thing and use it to sell copies next year. Oh, these are brand new features for the game. You know, now you can do 3v3, triple threat matches in GM mode. Now you can play online in My Faction mode. Things like that. Oh, and sell them off as features for the next copy, which fucking sucks.
That is such bullshit!
Fellas, it really does, because if this game had the attention to detail, it would be a 10 out of 10, fellas. It really would. It would be definitely close to a 10 out of 10, maybe a 9 out of 10, but it'd be damn close if they just put the attention to detail that the game modes needed, because that's one of the main things that lets this game down, is just the variety in the game modes. It gets very stale very quickly. Yeah, the game mode is fun for probably an hour or two, but that's it. No game mode actually has the attention to detail to keep players playing longer than a couple of hours.
Fact.
So the next thing I want to talk about is just my impressions of each mode, or most of the modes in WWE 2K, and let's start with my GM mode. This is the mode that everybody has been waiting for years. It's the mode that everybody wanted, and they fucked it up, fellas. They fucked it up bad.
Your game absolutely sucks!
Not being able to verse other players online is a deal breaker for me. There's just no point doing this mode. Plus, with the match types only being 1v1 and tag teams, I just don't see the point of playing this mode. It would get very, very repetitive very quickly. How can you rush a mode that fans have been asking for years? It's not like we've asked for it for 6 months. We've been asking for a GM mode for bloody years, at least 5 years. And that's not going to say ever since Smackdown vs. Raw when they got rid of it, we've been asking for it, but literally we've been asking it consistently for 5 years, and they've declined, and then just released this pile of crap.
It's true, man.
So the next mode I want to talk about is the My Rise mode. I like this mode, fellas, I really do. It's not perfect by any means, but it's a huge step forward compared to other WWE career modes. With the amount of different story paths that have been added to this game, there's so many different ways to take your career, which is great, and there's so many different match types that you're doing. It's not like the older careers where you just do 1v1, v1, 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 v1 over and over and over and over again, fellas. Sorry about that, I just needed to state my point. It gets very repetitive very quickly, but at least this year there's different match types, there's different things to do, and it just makes it a bit better to sink your teeth into instead of just doing the monotonous 1v1 matches over and over and over again. The only problem is there's so much bloody reading. In 2022, I shouldn't be reading fucking text messages, 2K. I've said it for years. It's getting beyond a joke, and the dialogue and the acting need some work big time. If they need some voice actors, hit me up, why not? I'll give it a go.
Do you even listen to yourself when you talk?
Because it has to be better than some of the bloody people that they've gotten to do some of these voiceovers in the career mode. So the next thing I want to talk about is the showcase mode. It's fun for an hour, fellas. It's fun for an hour or two, and it's ended.
Wow, that was fast.
And that's the problem. That's the only problem with the showcase mode, because it is fun for an hour or two, but it ends. There's just never enough content when it comes to showcase mode. It's an afternoon of fun, and that's about it.
Fact.
This is a good one too, but it ends pretty fast. So the last mode I want to talk about is Universe mode. This is the mode that will keep most players playing the game, but there's nothing really new here. Unless you're a diehard wrestling fan or a diehard WWE fan, you're not going to play this game mode all that much. To be perfectly honest, it's got nothing unique to keep players playing. Same with my faction. Being offline only really makes it pointless for me. There's just no real point to grind for no reason to. I like to verse people in Ultimate Team and my team in NBA 2K. But in this, what am I trying to impress a AI bot? You know what I mean? It just doesn't make sense to me why they made my faction offline only.
Well, that's because you're an idiot.
So the last thing I want to talk about is gameplay. So now it's time for gameplay.
It's about damn time.
Fellas, this is probably the most important thing in the video, because it is a video game at the end of the day, so it needs to have good gameplay to keep players playing and keep the game alive longer than a few weeks, because it has gotten the hype. Got XQC playing, sometimes there's 40, 50, 60, 70,000 people watching on Twitch, which is unheard of for a WWE game. They've actually brought the fun back, which is great. It really is, fellas. The fun, fast-paced gameplay and the smooth animations make this game feel like older wrestling games, but just taken to a whole new level, which is great, and it's exactly what this franchise has needed for a very, very, very long time.
Oh, it's true. It's damn true.
So the first thing I want to talk about is the good about the gameplay. I like the new controls and the new counter system. I might be the only one in the world, but I like it, fellas. It makes the game more skill-based instead of just spamming counters over and over and over again, because something needed to be done. Nobody wanted to have a counter fest over and over and over again. It got boring very, very quickly. This is a much better idea than what we've had in previous WWE games, because last year, or the last WWE game we had a certain amount of counters that we could use at a certain time. Like, you could only do 3 or 4 counters every 2 or 3 minutes or something along those lines. It was ridiculous. It made the game boring. It made the game dull. And it was one of the worst ideas I've ever seen in a WWE game.
That is literally the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
Let me handle this. That idea is just the worst.
So I'm glad that shit is long gone. So the next thing I want to talk about when it comes to the good about the gameplay is just the faster gameplay and smoother animations do wonders for this game. Instead of worrying about simulation, they just wanted this game to be fun. And that's always a good thing. When you focus on gameplay to be fun, it's a step in the right direction. Don't get me wrong, the gameplay is not perfect, but it is a huge step in the right direction, fellas. And the guys making NBA 2K should be taking notes, because this is what we want in a video game. We don't need simulation. We just need something fast-paced and something fun.
Speaking of simple.
It's that simple. It's not rocket science, fellas. Game design isn't rocket science. It's based around fun. Because at the end of the day, if you're not having fun playing a video game, why are you playing it?
You're a smart motherfucker, that's right.
So the next thing I want to talk about is the bad about the gameplay. Look, I could nitpick every little thing, and I'm sure there's glitches, I'm sure there's bugs, I'm sure there's problems, but I don't care about the little things like that. If there's a guy that clips through the ring every now and then, that's fine. If there's a glitch where the referee doesn't pin a guy, I'm fine with that. As long as it doesn't happen all the time and become a game-breaking bug, I'm fine with that sort of shit. But don't get me wrong, the gameplay is great, but there is no new match types at all. Hopefully more will be added in DLC packs, but I wouldn't hold my breath, fellas. Everything in this game we have seen before. I would have liked a few new things in the gameplay other than the new counter system. I would like some new features, maybe a couple of new game modes, maybe a couple of new things that you can do with the weapons or something like that. Maybe something new with the Hell in a Cell or a cage. Make the ladder matches a little bit different, but they're just the same game modes that are just lacking new gameplay features.
I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed.
But at least at the end of the day, fellas, this game works compared to what we got last year.
Fact.
So the last thing I want to talk about before I end the video is just a few little things. The legendary difficulty is so bloody annoying. They just stop every finisher. The reversal finisher rate is ridiculous. It's way too high. It's a joke. I know it's got to be hard because it's legendary, but I can just beat up a guy for 45 minutes with no reversals of the standard moves, and then I go to do a finisher and he reverses it 5-6 times. It's getting ridiculous. I finally figured out a way to bypass the counter system with the stunned mechanic, but other than that, it gets ridiculous. It really does. Maybe just turn up the standard reversals a bit and turn down the finisher reversal rate, because it is ridiculous. Being countered 5-6 times every match, it becomes a joke. And then when you play 6v6 people, oh my god, it does my head in. It really does. Matches can take up to an hour because you just can't bloody land your finishes.
Get the fork out of here.
But one thing I will say, fellas, it's a breath of fresh air to have a sports game make a game that isn't just based around microtransactions, and they just don't push microtransactions down our throat.
Give me your fucking money!
Last time we played a WWE game, we had to buy moves for our career mode using VC. They killed that game with microtransactions and they didn't do it again, which is a great thing, fellas. And for a sport game, that is a huge W. Because we've seen how much sport games have just been riddled and destroyed by microtransactions, and this game ain't one of them. So the last thing I want to talk about is just a few final thoughts, and is this game worth buying? Is this game actually fun? Is this game worth the money? With the game modes, the gameplay, the presentation, and everything in between, is it actually worth the money? It is, fellas, if you're a WWE fan, because you're never going to get 12 months out of this game, but it will be a fun few weeks. It really will be, fellas. There's just nothing here to keep the players playing. Yeah, it looks great. The gameplay is fun, but the modes are just bare bone. That's the honest truth, and that's where this game falls time and time again, because you go on to play, you have a few fun hours for a day, two, maybe a week or two, but then the game starts to become repetitive. It starts to become stale. It starts to become boring. And like I said, I don't think you'll get 12 months out of this game, but it will be a fun few weeks. But anyway, guys, I've talked and raved long enough. If you do like these raves, reviews, whatever you want to call them, on WWE 2K22, and if you'd like to see me rant and rave or just make WWE 2K22 content in general, don't forget to leave a like and comment down below what you'd like to see when it comes to WWE 2K22 on this channel, or even my gameplay channel. I do have a gameplay channel that I'll hopefully be starting soon, but I've been saying that for ages, but hopefully it'll start up soon. But anyway, guys, as I said, leave all your thoughts and opinions in the comments below. But anyway, guys, I've talked and raved long enough. Leave a like, comment, subscribe, and I'll catch us later.